Hi again, Coach Kevin here. I'm excited for today's video because we're going to cover some of the more advanced exercises. They're going to be able to progress you to having an elite level amount of power and strength in your chest and arms. Now, if you have not learned some of the previous exercises in our foundations videos or our foundations workout guide, make sure you check out the links below. There'll be links to those videos as well as the website that has the workout guides. You don't want to progress into the advanced workouts until you've already mastered the foundations. Now, the exercises you're going to be learning today, I'm going to start introducing how you combine your body weight, like a push-up, into a resistance band, doing a resistive push-up, as well as combining free weights, like a curl bar, with a resistance band, just allowing you to get the most out of your training and take that training to the next level. The most commonly known bodyweight exercise that people combine with power bands is a push-up. It's really simple to put it behind your back, under your hands, and now add extra resistance to your push-ups. But I do encourage you first to work on some complex push-ups and progress that way before you just go into increasing the resistance. It's always good to have more stability with your shoulders and your core before you progress that resistance. So I'm going to show you a couple complex exercises that are some of my more favorite ones, but there's a ton of them out there, so don't limit yourself to just these two. The first one is going to be a push-up where I'm lifting my knee toward my opposite elbow. So I do what would be normally a good push-up, and then as I come up, I take that opposite knee toward that opposite elbow, and then down again, and then switch legs. And so you just go back and forth, adding in that core exercise at the same time. Another one that I'm a big fan of is having a rotational movement in there where I'm going to go up to my side and then back down. So now I'm going to do my push-up, come up onto one arm, into that side plank, back down, and then to the other side. And you can just go back and forth. So those are two that are really good to help work on that stability before you add in that extra resistance. To add the extra resistance, you'll just take a power band, you'll put it behind you, and now this is where I've seen people do it a couple different ways. So I prefer to have the band just below your shoulder blades instead of being up here on top of your shoulder blades. The reason for that is oftentimes I see it slip down if people have it up high on their shoulder blades, and I'd rather prevent that from happening just to make sure no one gets injured from it. So if you put the band behind you, and then you put your thumb in each side of it, then you can bring it in front of you. As you can see with my hands, I then put it in the palm of each hand like that. So I've got it in the palms of both of my hands, right? It's underneath my elbows. And then I'm just going to kind of slide it up my back so that it's touching the bottom of my shoulder blades. And then from here, I go down into my plank position and then do my push-up. Just like that. Now, a big benefit to combining body weight into a resistance band workout is, for instance, with the push-up, at the bottom of the push-up, that's the hardest part. It's got the highest resistance, the highest stress, and then the top is the easiest part. And so when you add the resistance band, it's only adding a little bit of resistance to the bottom, but it's adding a lot more resistance to the top, creating that equal resistance and equal stress throughout that full range of motion, making you strong both here and here. Great for athletes, great for functional fitness, just having that strength throughout the entire range of motion. In addition to push-ups, a forward fly is a great way to work out your chest. And initially it's good to start doing it on different workout days, but then as you get used to it and you adapt to it, you can eventually start combining a forward fly with your push-ups by doing the push-ups first, working out that chest, and then kind of isolating it a little bit more with a slightly lower resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. It's really easy to set up where you put an anchor on either side of a door Or even better, sometimes if you have like a fitness rack, sometimes they're a little bit wider, it's a more ideal width. Or if you have a fence, it's really easy to loop them on at, exactly whatever point you want. But the width of a door works. And so I'll just put my hand inside each band. It can also be done with handles if you prefer. And you're going to stand so that the resistance is pulling your hands just slightly behind you. And then you're going to start at the side, bringing your hands forward and together. And then they go back. And you want to do this with a controlled movement, thinking about good posture, good technique. So from the front as you do this, all right, your arms are starting out wide and they're coming in front of you. And some people even like to keep their hands here and kind of really emphasize that full contraction for a little bit before going back. Or even like their last rep, they'll just sit there and hold it for like 5 or 10 seconds. And they can really feel that break down the muscle in their chest, which will then rebuild even stronger. Now, if we're working out our chest a whole bunch, we need to make sure that we work out the opposite muscle groups as well. We can't just constantly work out our chest without working out our upper back. That's going to lead to bad posture and injuries. So, if you're doing forward fly, you want to do a reverse fly as well. You can see this time I put the handles on these ones. And I like to do this from the same anchor point. And you want the resistance starting out in front of you, and then you bring your arms back just slightly behind you. It is important to think about good posture, keeping your shoulders stable and pulled back the entire time. You don't want them moving around. And that's going to work that opposite muscle group. Now you're probably going to want a little bit lower resistance when you do the reverse flies compared to the forward flies. Another one that is a combination of a couple exercises that I really like that I turned into my own version of the combination of it. And that would be a face pull and an external rotation. They both have great benefits for stabilizing your shoulders, promoting good posture. And so the way I do the W pulls is the elbows are first going to come back just slightly lower than your shoulder width. So this is as high up as you want your elbows. A little bit lower is okay if you tend to have some shoulder issues. That's going to help open up that space in there. So your elbows come back and then your arms rotate up like this, making that W shape. Now the reason why you want that W shape is because if your elbows are all the way up here as you do that rotation, it can lead to a lot of pinching of the tendons inside your shoulders, and that's bad. Over time, that's going to cause a lot of issues. So you want those elbows slightly down, making that W shape as you do them. And I do encourage people to wait until they've worked on a lot of other shoulder stability exercises before they do this one, just because you don't need a lot of resistance to make them very challenging. And so I'm going to stand back with just slight resistance at the beginning, bring those elbows back, rotate up to the W, bring it back, and then forward. So there's several steps to this. I bring my elbows back, I rotate my hands up, rotate my hands forward, and then elbows come forward again. And with all stability exercises, slow and controlled is the way to go. That's going to give you the best results. Now, that exercise was probably completely new to all of you because it was me just combining two exercises that I knew of and figured out a way to get the results from both of them, combining it into one. And so, if you like that exercise or any of the other exercises in my videos, make sure to click like and subscribe below. Also, share with other people, share with other coaches, other athletes. Learning these new exercises that are a little bit untraditional can make that little bit of a difference to take you to the next level so you can be elite. Now we're going to go into combining free weights with the bands and show you the benefits of doing it that way. So for powerful arms, we're also going to work out those biceps. And to start, we're going to do it with just the bands, and then I'm going to show you how to combine it with the bar and the band. And I'm going to use a pair of blues. And the trick with this is you need to do a double loop around your foot, which isn't covered in the initial video of how to set up, so make sure you pay close attention to this. So I'm going to put it underneath the bottom of my foot. So there's an equal length on each side. Just like that. And then from here, I'm going to grab both sides of the band, cross them, and then loop them underneath, and then out the other side. And now I have 2 loops around my foot, making this band nice and short to give me that high level of resistance that I want, starting from that low point. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Put the band under my foot. Make sure it's an equal length on both sides. And then I wrap both sides around. Like that. And as you can see, having that double loop, now my resistance is starting all the way from the bottom. Right? I've got tension right at the very beginning. And then I can just do my curls like that. Just like you would a normal curl with a bar. And something I also want you to notice is with these bands, as you start using the higher resistance bands, I've got these heavy duty metal rings for our heavyweight bands. And that allows you to loop these really thick bands onto it, and it works really well together. I noticed with a lot of the traditional resistance bands I used over the years, the weak point was usually where the clip attached to the band. Oftentimes that connection would go bad, and boom, it would pop off. This way there is no connection that can go bad. So it helps reduce that risk of, having that high tension on there and it potentially breaking on you. So this is designed to prevent that weak point. So now we're going to combine using the bar with a band. And so something I want to point out. If I have a bar and I'm doing curls, the bottom's going to be a little bit more challenging than the top. The top's going to feel kind of easy. And it's the opposite with the bands, right? So at the bottom, it feels easy, and then that resistance builds up to give you more resistance at the top. And again, that's why combining a band with free weights can give you high resistance from the beginning all the way to the end, making you strong throughout that entire range of motion. Think of it kind of like with pull-ups. Oftentimes people aren't very good at doing pull-ups from being fully extended up like that. And so they tend to do these little pull-ups like this, and they're really strong from here to here. But guess what? If you're doing anything where you need to reach long and then pull down, you're not strong in that long position. So combining the two make you strong in the long position and the short position, giving you strength throughout the full range of motion. And so to set up the bars with the band, I'm going to have this band looped right in the middle of the bar. All right, so I looped it right through the middle. And then I'm going to stand inside of it with both feet. And something that I like about this is I can micro adjust the resistance by standing slightly wider or slightly more narrow. Now I pick up the bar just like I normally would, and you can see that band is pulling it down. So as I do my curl, I've got high resistance at the beginning and at the top. Another great benefit about combining the bands with free weights is you don't have to spend as much money on a bunch of expensive weights. I just have a 10 and a 5 on each side of this curl bar, and then I added that red power band to it, that medium weight, and it feels like it increased it about another 20 pounds. And so you can play around with weights and bands to kind of get just the right feeling of resistance throughout that full range of motion. And this isn't the only way to combine them. There's several other ways that I really like, and those will be in future videos. So as always, make sure you click like, subscribe, and share with others, so that way I can keep sending these videos out, so that way you can be strong and be elite.